Hi, welcome back to ODE YouTube channel. My name is Paulo and today I'm going to show you another pen. This pen came from Italy. It was sent to me by Tibaldi and I'm talking about the Tibaldi Perfecta. This pen, I made the unboxing video of it, so you can go back if you want. If you like to see unboxing videos, there is not much information, it's just more the excitement of opening and seeing the stuff. But you can watch that video. The pen has a very simple design on the package. This brick color sleeve that says Tibaldi there. And then you have a black case made of cardboard, very sturdy, very well made. It almost seems like made of wood, very solid, matte black with shiny letters that say Tibaldi, and there the logo of Tibaldi, which is an eagle. And an eagle is an interesting thing because the eagle symbolizes the elements from Tibaldi logo and from the former Tibaldi logo, and mixes with also the eagle that is a reference to the family who owns the brand, which is the Aquila family, and Aquila means eagle. By the way, Aquila family is the same family that owns the other very famous brand, which is Montegrappa. So let's call it a sister brand. And this comes out. This is very snug fit. You have this tray made of grey velvety thing, the pen underneath an elastic, and there you have a certificate of warranty that should be signed with the date of purchase, and then you have the instructions on how to open the pen, because it may not be that obvious. And then you have a little bag with 2 ink cartridges, one black and one blue. Let's put these away, take the pen out, and let's talk about the pen. So first, Tibaldi was a brand, or is a brand, that was created in 1916 by Giuseppe Tibaldi in Italy. And Perfecta, I said this with an English accent, but Perfecta was a model that was released in the early 1920s and existed for almost a decade until 1929. And this pen is, let's call it, an homage to that vintage design. And this is a vintage design which I find it quite beautiful. And let me just show you, because Tibaldi was nice enough to send me also a book with the history of the brand. Here you have the original Perfecta, and there are some details that are present on the modern pen also. And I will go through them. We have here, which are the characteristics of this pen? This pen is mostly a very cylindrical pen, the kind of pen that we call a flat top. Although it's not completely flat, it's more like a curved one. The pen is mostly, sorry, there are lots of little stuff from this burlap background. The pen has a cylindrical, roughly cylindrical barrel that actually is thinner here. It increases in diameter here, and then it decreases again, it tapers down. It has a curved end like this, very shiny, and the curved end on the top. Also the cap is very cylindrical. It has a rubberized clip that is very flexible and spring loaded, which is quite nice, matte finish. It has some knurled parts like these on the barrel, on the cap. Also these on the barrel, but these are only for aesthetical purposes, and these are some static parts that come from the original model from the 1920s. Then I think this is the blackest pen I have. So I don't know if I can show it to you, but it says there Tibaldi. If you can see it, believe me, and they're made in Italy. This color of this pen, this particular pen, is called Rich Black, and that's what I would call it. It's really, really a rich black. If it wasn't shiny, like it is very, very shiny. I guess if I left it on top of a very black background, this pen would become totally invisible. Fortunately, it is shiny, so you can spot it if there is light. But it is awful for a review because I cannot really show it to you perfectly. Then you have this, also this knurled part there, and the interesting part is that you have the threads there near the nib. And let me put this. So it looks very nice. It is very simple here, but when you uncap the pen, let's see how many turns. One turn and a quarter, more or less. So you have these threads, and this part with this knurled part, you only see it after the pen is uncapped. When the cap is on, the cap is longer and you will not see it. The nib, let's see it. There is a little drop of ink there. Let me just clean it. Okay, done. You can see there you can see the nib. Okay, it is a steel nib. This one is a fine one, and it says Tibaldi, and it has, let's call it, half the logo in a very asymmetrical way. This is something that I find quite nice, but it may not be great for people with OCD that like symmetry things. I think I'm a little OCD with some stuff, not exactly with symmetry. This is not symmetric, but I think it's beautiful. It's a very unique nib. I really like it. So it is a fine nib, number 6 nib, and underneath you have a ebonite feed, which I find it to be very interesting. Now, when you look at these, what do you think of with the threads there and this kind of section very large with not having the hourglass shaped? For example, when you look to the Parker Centennial Lufold, you have this kind of thing, this kind of shape on the section. In this pen you don't. You think of safety pens or pens with retractable nibs. This is one part that I want to address. This pen, because it is an inspiration, it gets its inspiration from the vintage Tibaldi Perfecta. It has this kind of shape and design. However, the original Perfecta was not a safety pen as we know it, because usually safety pens were eyedropper pens that had a retractable nib. This pen was not, the original Perfecta was not an eyedropper pen, was, sorry, let me remember the name. It had a sac that twisted and created a vacuum, so it had a self-filling system, but it had also a retractable nib. That's why it gets this inspiration. And all these knurled parts that would be the necessary parts to work the filling system. So this is beautiful pen. However, this pen is made to be used. This is something that I talked with Tibaldi, and they explained me this pen is meant to be used by users and not so much addressed to collectors. And that's why that this pen has a regular filling system instead of having a vintage one. It has the vintage filling, but it will have the ease of use of a modern pen. Now, the only negative side I see on this pen, and it is negative but not necessarily for me, it doesn't bother me that much, but I guess this may be a problem for some of you, is the size of the section. The size of the section is just that. To access the inside of the pen, to fill the pen, you need to unscrew this part. And this is very narrow. So when you do it, it's very likely that you'll get ink in your fingers. I'm very clumsy, but I'm very delicate with my pens, usually, so I usually don't get my fingers dirty. And it is possible, it is dirty there, but I was playing with inks before. You can use this pen without getting your fingers dirty, but it's not that easy because the section is only that size. And it happens because it has this kind of design. It is a cartridge converter pen. It is a very nice kind of a cartridge converter because the converter of this pen is marked Tibaldi there. And it has this kind of screw-in converters that I like because it helps to avoid the section to fall into the ink bottle when you're filling the pen. And sometimes that can happen if it's loosely fit. This way it will not happen because it's screwed in. So you can see the size of the section, the ebonite feed, and this is how the pen is and how the pen looks. I find this pen really, really beautiful. You have this little thing that may be a problem or may not be. Now I put a little stain of ink on my fingers. If you have problems with this, maybe this is not a pen for you. I don't really have a problem with it, and I find this pen very, very, I have to say it again, very beautiful. I really enjoy it. About some comparisons. The pen that this pen reminds me is a copy of a Montblanc pen that was inspired in a vintage pen from Montblanc, and this is the Hero, what is the name, H718, and you can see the kind of shape is quite similar because this is, let's call it a safety pen, although it is a piston filler, so not really a safety pen. And it has all these features similar to that one, but this would need to do this to have the retractable nib working. So this has the kind of filling mechanism similar to which this would be. I have to say that I am myself, and who I am prefers every time cartridges or converters to any other filling system. So I prefer these than to a piston filler. I prefer to have an exposed nib than to have a retractable nib. But that's just me. So this pen is kind of perfect to me. Also, if the pen would be a retractable nib, maybe it had to be girthier to allow the nib to go in, or maybe it couldn't be a number 6 nib, it had to be a smaller nib. Also, the nib can be unscrewed because it is a unit made of the nib and the feed. The pen, I guess I already told you that the feed is made of ebonite. I found a very interesting thing when I filled this pen for the first time. I filled it from the ink bottle with the same ink. I've refilled it over again, but I've been using it only with this ink. I filled it, and in that day the pen wrote a little dry. It was not hard starting, but it was very dry. And then I left it aside. I had all the other day without using the pen, and by night the following day when I started using the pen, the ink flow was amazing. And I guess maybe this kind of ebonite feed take a long time, or take some time, to be saturated with ink and to perform perfectly. Now, for comparison purposes, you have here a Parker Centennial Fold, and you have here a Lamy LX Ruthenium. And what can you see? Tibaldi is of the same size, and this is something good because I like pens of this size. Another thing, I find this a black pen and shiny, and this is shinier and blacker. I don't know if I can say that. If we uncap the three pens, the size comparison will tell us that Tibaldi is the shortest, but not for that much. But it has a big nib from the same size as the Parker, and it is also the girthiest of all three pens, which is something nice that I like. I also like the fact, although this means it has a very small section, I really enjoy the fact it has a very wide barrel and it doesn't have a specific section, so you can hold it everywhere. The only place where you will have something in the way, and it's not sharp, is here on next to the nib, the threads, but they will not bother you. So this is a long enough pen. It's good to write with. Perfect, not very heavy because it's made of resin. By the way, the resin and the pen is all made in Italy, which is something that they are proud to say. The pen is quite nice. You can post it. It posts securely, but it becomes a little bit too long. However, because the pen is overall quite light, you don't find these to be back heavy. So I could write with these in terms of balance. I just don't enjoy to have such a long pen. I would prefer to write like this, but I'm used to write with pens and post-it. So a very nice grip. I really like it. It does not slip. The fingers don't slip over this surface. It's not slippery. And it also has these texture components that I find nice when they touch the skin, these kind of knurled parts, because you feel the pen and you know where you are holding it. But you can really hold this pen wherever you like. And if you prefer to have long pens, you can almost hold it on the middle of the barrel because it's virtually the same kind of sensation. Now, this is all for the pen characteristics. Let's go to the writing sample. And here we have the pen and paper, and let's see how it performs. First, I have to say that this pen costs 195 euros, so it's not an inexpensive pen, but it is an Italian pen, and Italian pens usually go for higher prices. And this pen is meant to be like your good everyday user, to be like your statues. This shows who you are. So if you find this as your main pen, it may not be that expensive. If you like to have lots of pens, it will become quite more expensive just for one pen. But I have to say that I really, really like it. I think it is a nice pen to to use and to show off in a very understated way, if this has any meaning. Another thing that I want to say, this pen is available in two finishes, and the difference is that one has the black cap and one has a black and white mottled cap. So you'll have lots of parts black and white, but the same pen. And now, let's see the performance of the pen. And we are here talking about the Tibaldi Perfecta Rich Black with a fine steel nib. And the paper that we are writing in is, or on, is the Rhodia dot pad. I really need to work on my prepositions because all go wrong. I mix on with in and with and so on. And the ink inside is a very beautiful ink. The Diamine, the music collection, Diamine Wagner. It is a greenish something. I really like this. I don't think it shows here on the camera the quality of the ink, but it's very beautiful. So, about the writing experience. As I told you, the pen is quite comfortable. I could write forever with this pen. It's really comfortable to write with. And let's see. You can see that the pen writes really well. If I write faster, you will find that the pen has no skips, and this is something important. I find the ink flow to be very good. And why is that? Maybe because of the nib, and maybe because of the feed. This has the ebonite feed, and I find that the pens with the ebonite feed have better ink flow. And let's see about the ink flow. This is a fine nib, and I would say that this pen is quite wet, and this is very nice. The pen has a fine nib that I will call a real fine. About the line variation, it doesn't really have. You can try to force it, but I find this to be a very stiff nib, and it has feedback. Sorry, and I love feedback in pens, and there are pens that have feedback that bothers me a little, and there is good feedback. And this is a kind of good and unique feedback. I will not say that is the same kind of feedback you'll find on Sailor pens, because Sailor pens have stronger feedback, more like a pencil. This is a little smoother, but it reminds me the nib of my Nettuno 1911. However, that nib for a fine nib is much broader, and it has some flexibility, although it's not a flex nib. This one is very stiff, but also has a very good ink flow and the same kind of vintage feedback. That's how I should call it. It's not those very smooth pens that glide over the paper and you almost don't feel that you're writing. In these pens you feel, and I find that wonderful. About writing on the reverse side of the nib. Yes, you can. And it is acceptably wet, as you may see. It is an extra fine, let's write on the right way, and it writes really good. So, a pen with this ink flow is the kind of pen with which you can get some shading of your inks even with a fine nib. And I find that amazing, because I don't really love broader nibs, and this is a way that I can take more out of my inks without the need of going to broader inks, broader nibs. This is a fine, works like a fine, and is very wet. So, overall, I have to say that, is this pen good? Yes. Very good. Very, very, very good. It's really amazing. I don't find that the steel nib would be better. Just be aware that the section is short and be aware that the nib is stiff. You may not like stiff nibs. If you like that kind of things, if you want a pen, as they say, not for collectible purposes, but to write in daily life with a strong nib, to be able to write in a more careless way, I think this pen is really good. Is it cheap? No. But I don't think it's that expensive also. It is a very beautiful design. Tibaldi is making some renovations to their website, to their lineup, and I think this kind of homage to their vintage models is a beautiful thing to do, and I think brands should go more after their history, honor their history, and innovate for the future. So, this is a very long video. I shouldn't make reviews that long, but this pen is really good. I've been using this pen every day since I got it and since I inked it, and I'm very happy with it. So, thank you, Tibaldi, for sending me this pen. I thank you a lot because you gave me the opportunity of knowing more of your brand, and I have to thank you all for watching my video, and I would ask you, if you didn't subscribe my channel already, please do it, and don't forget to hit the like button. And if you want to get a pen like this, I will put on the description below the link for Tibaldi website where you can purchase this pen. So this is all I had to show you, and it was already a lot, and we'll see you again next video. Bye.